I'm going to talk mostly about two projects, two companies, one in a very small size, another is relatively large. And I come from a country of 160 million people, so large means it has to be at least a few million people. So the second one is around 12 million people are using it. The picture, I thought about while I was putting together this slide, I intentionally picked this picture. It has no title, but I lived in this country for around 20 years. And when I started working in Bangladesh, what I noticed that people do things without thinking too much. And because deep inside you are thinking that something will be taken care of some way. And when you think about here, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just the economies and the development structures are far more mature. As a result, things are often taken care of by system. So in a very stormy day, I mean, we cannot see it very clearly, but it's really stormy. And I saw these guys took a boat crossing the Ganges without any life jacket, without anything, because the customer at the end of the day is thinking somehow the system will take care of it. And I thought, that's interesting, because the client actually wants you to take care of everything. They just want to go on the other side of the river. How you want to go, that's your problem. Okay? And as an entrepreneur, it's our job to solve the inner problem and the outer problems. I met this guy in 2004, 2005. So I was in Bangladesh. I lived in Cambridge at that time, Cambridge, Massachusetts. Went to Bangladesh, trying to cross a river, and I saw this guy trying to sell this fish to me. And I said, how much? He said, 6,000 taka, around $100. So I said, all right. I mean, I cannot eat a fish of this size myself, and I was living alone. And an hour later, the guy came back, and while he was doing all this thing, he was constantly talking over the phone. And he came back and he said, 50% discount. I said, I haven't done anything yet. So and then he came back. I said, no, thank you. And we started chit-chatting a little bit. And then he came back and said, in 2,000 taka, which is basically almost 70% discount. And that's by the time it was like 6:30 p.m. And I was intrigued, and I said, what's really going on? He said, well, after 7:30 p.m., there is no price for this fish. And I said, okay. So what do you do? He said, well, I buy this fish from local fishermen, and then I sell it to people like you. And so if I don't sell it to people like you today, I'm going to sell somebody at 1,000 taka at a loss. And the fish looked fresh. He's talking over the phone all the time. And I mean, it was not one of those aha moments, but it is somewhat like, he has a phone. He's talking. He's somewhat sophisticated. He can talk. He can negotiate well. So why can't he sell his fish at a proper price? And that's what I have this little, I mean, you cannot read it, but I'm going to tell you. Each and every mobile phone, even the $10 mobile phone, has more processing power than the computer NASA used in 1969 when man went to moon. So in that way, in today's Bangladesh, there are 100 million NASA computers in people's pocket. And what do you do with this thing? I mean, every cheap little phone has a screen, has keyboard, has wireless by default. So it's more powerful in some way than a laptop. So can we do something with this thing? That was the genesis of this idea. So basically, there are 100 million mobile phones. If 1% of those mobile phone users are fishermen, we have 1 million fishermen with mobile phones. And if 1% of them, I'm being ultra conservative, if 1% of them use their phone to do something, to post a fish or something in the market, then we'll have 10,000 big fish every day. So that was the idea of creating a company called Cell Bazaar back in 2005. And what we saw within 2 years, we had 4.5 million users who are using SMS, very rudimentary technology, to post whatever item they can post in a platform. It's like Craigslist over the mobile phone. Okay. And when we created that, we saw somebody posted an oil tanker. Somebody posted Alsatian and German Shepherd dog, and people posted red chili. In total, around 4.5 million people by 2008. Okay. So the reason I shared this story, what it shows that people are actually ready to adopt new technologies if we can design it properly for them. Okay. And so that is the end of the story. Except one thing is that one challenge I was facing, there was no payment mechanism. It's like Craigslist. People are coming, meeting each other, and then sorting it out. But it would be nice to have a payment arrangement. That was the genesis of the next idea. So Bangladesh has marketplace like this. It's not Bangladesh alone. I mean, any developing countries is like this. And there are apparently $64 billion of domestic remittance taking place from people's pocket to, one pocket to another pocket. The government spends more than $50 million every year just to print the notes, the bills. Okay. So I was thinking if there's a way to combine this, everybody having a NASA computer in their pocket and digital finance, if we can somehow put it together, then we can have a cashless society. And things like that already started happening in Kenya in a very meaningful way. This thing has started, many people have started this kind of things, but proper execution actually took place in Kenya in a very neat way. Okay. So I actually went to Africa to learn about this thing, what's really going on. And meanwhile, the central bank in Bangladesh started looking at it very carefully and clearly. And I emphasize on this thing, that clear thinking of a regulator when you're working on financial service like this is very, very important, as you know all. So what they have identified, there are three players here. Customer has their own handset. They made an investment of buying the handset. And mobile operator, they carry the network. They are the network provider. And at the end of the day, the bank should be the custodian of the public money. In the way mobile money works, and I assume everybody understands it by now, it has become a global phenomenon almost. But in a very simple way, it's like the way we use ATM. We go to an ATM machine, we put a card, we put the PIN number, putting the PIN number, we prove that we are, this is my card, okay? And then we instruct a server to do debit and credit. And the robot gives me some cash back or takes the deposit. So it's fundamentally the same thing. Instead of a robot like ATM machine, you use a mobile phone to give the instruction to the server. And instead of a robot giving you the cash or taking the cash, a human ATM, a retail shop, takes the money or gives the money. Okay. What we have seen in even poor countries like Bangladesh and all over the world, to serve a customer getting into the bank and coming out of the bank, it costs around $2. Okay. Just the leaflet, the carpet, the wall, manager's salary, all these kind of things. But the average ticket size that each of those customers use on average in a poor country is around $10. So there's no way the conventional bank can serve this customer. But if you look at the banking law of the country, it always says universal banking facility we are about to provide. But there's no way you can do that. That's why you create all this glass wall, you turn on it, air conditioned, because the poor person immediately knows that he cannot access this place. This is not for him. Okay. So anyway, when we have an elegant regulation like that, we formed this company called bKash. bKash is a Sanskrit word. bKash means prosperity. And the regulator always has funny laws. They said the cash cannot be used in branding. So I said, okay, let's pick a word that sounds like cash but not cash. So we put bKash. It sounds like Bangladesh cash. And at the same time, it sounds like prosperity. And we started putting together agent network, like this shop. And it says, please bKash here. And when we came to a reasonable shape, with our seed fund and all this, IFC became an equity partner. So is Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. This is their first equity investment in the space of financial inclusion. And today, we have 90,000 such digital agents all over the country. and 12.2 million customer. And bKash is a Bengali verb now. So people say bKash me, you know, give me money or send me money. What impact does it create? So this is one of my typical user. Now say, I'll give an example of textile because people hear about textile and Bangladesh all the time together. Okay. So say if I'm a textile worker, I earn my salary and I don't have a place to store it. I give it to my husband or my brother or to my, you know, my father. And even if they invest the money, even if they have the money and trying to not waste the money or, you know, squander it any other way, but they will be using it somewhere. They will be investing it somewhere. They will be going to buy some raw material, try to sell it somewhere. So when she needs the money, when she said, I want to send my daughter to school tomorrow, I want to pay her tuition, at that very moment, even those good guys will say, oops, I don't have the money with me. Okay? So the empowerment doesn't really take place in the way that we want to. And the other thing is, why do people put the money usually? Under the mattress. Okay? Now bKash is becoming the collective mattress for the whole country. Okay? People put the money in the electronic system. And the last thing is again a personal belief, and I'm not a banker, neither am I a financial expert. So these kind of things I say it without knowing whether I'm saying something really, I mean, profound or not. But I really think the moment you start saving, that's when you basically start, the sign of prosperity starts there. Okay? And a system like that allows you to save the money, and you also get interest because the whole thing is regulated by the central bank. Any deposit is a deposit, so you earn interest. This is something I didn't really think about it before I started. Okay? But once we have started it, and now that we have 12.2 million users, 22% of the adults of the country have used this service. Any use of digital money has a multiplier effect. Okay? And as this guy is sending money to her, she says she receives 5,000 taka. She cashes out 500 or 1,000, whatever she needs. Her happiness is assured right there. But you know, I got my money. I can take it out anytime I want. There's 90,000 agents. I can cash out at any moment. Okay? But the remaining money stays in the system. And it stays within the regulation of the central bank in a designated account. And that money is used for other capital opportunities. It's being used to build a factory or to finance a school or finance a hospital. So I think that is a phenomenal thing that I honestly, and it shows how naive I am about this, I actually didn't think about it. I thought about it after we started seeing that, my God, we have such a large capital pool right now. And it is large. It is large in any scale. Okay? So that I think is tremendously exciting. I think there's many replicating impact of that in whether it's in Bangladesh or in Brazil or in Boston, we can replicate that. Okay? And it all starts with a small little punch. And this is my last slide. And you know, Bangladesh is a country of 160 million people. It's self-sufficient in food. And there are a few interesting data. It has more arable land than Canada does. But it's as big as Wisconsin. Okay. Because Canada's that one little thin layer near the US border, that's where all the people are. Okay. In Bangladesh, everywhere you see millions of people. Okay. So how does a country of 160 million people when Wisconsin is self-sufficient in food? We have more fresh water than the United States because the entire Himalayan water resource passes through Bangladesh. And what it does, it brings the silt, it nourishes the land, and you grow 4 crops a year. And I find this little bKash type service, it's also like that. It's one drop at a time as the water is coming down from the Himalayas. One drop at a time, $1, $2, $3. And the adults of the country is all contributing. Already, as I said, 22% of the adults are contributing. And that creates a large pool of cash, which is being used for other macroeconomic activities, which I find very fascinating. Thank you.